Last night, a ghost collided with my head. It was the light from something dead. Once it had breathed hydrogen into helium, created a beacon, projected its life across the sky. And some of that life hit me in the eye and expanded my mind. In its size and in its power, it was grander than I could ever be. But it never knew how grand it was. It never knew the awe inspired. It never experienced its existence. There was nothing it was like to be that star, only something it was like to marvel at that star, because the stars cannot wonder about the stars. And Jupiter too is without curiosity. Me? I'm small and I'm fragile and I'm easily felled by meteorites or by microbes. But I'm pugnacious, energetic and tenacious. I can chew on the quandaries of the cosmos. I've got a skull full of pictures and questions and problems too. I don't like my anxiety, but then I realise it's also my fire, because much that destroys me also creates me. There is something it is like to be me. And it's not always satisfactory. My atoms battle, my molecules revolt, but still more than the single line of an equation or a solo chemical reaction. Confused, confusing, absurd, but flashes of inspiration. And out of my ashes may grow apples. Emergent complexity briefly defeats the void. And the thing that the apple line there, I was in Exeter about 10 days ago, and I walked past on the way down to Exeter St David's. There was St Cuthbert's Church, and I just looked into the grave. It was one of those nice graveyards that's quite unruly, so there's things still growing there. I always think a very manicured cemetery is something. I don't like that. I like that thing where there's things growing, and someone has planted trees above some of the graves. And so there was this grave, and there was an apple tree with 5 red apples on it, which I thought was fantastic and beautiful. And it reminded me, I think that apple line at the end of that poem comes from a story that I read in a book of philosophy, and I can't even remember the name of the author. I think it might be Nicholas Fern. And he tells this fantastic story of, there was a man who had been one of the leaders of a village, but he died in shame. For some reason, there was something he did that people didn't like, and he was then buried outside the churchyard. And 100 years later, as so often happens, 100 years later, they look back and they went, he was fine, actually. We shouldn't have buried him outside there. Let's apologise to the dead man by digging him up and moving him. And there had now grown an apple tree out of, like, right next to his grave. And they dug down, and they found out that the root of the apple tree had basically worked its way through, so it was now a root that was shaped not dissimilar to the man who had been buried there. And so all of those people who had been eating the apples had been taking a little bit of those atoms that had once been his. You know, all of those things, I just find that, you know, the delight and the wonder of those.